Hello and welcome to another session of Tips and Tricks with Fabrication CADmep 2017. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to explore how we add piping in 2D when there is an actual floor plan. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and bring in a couple of, let's do an interior, first floor, and let's go ahead and zoom extents to see where that's at. Okay, I can see it down there. Perfect. Okay, and let's do the exterior as well. Let's do the shell for the first floor. Let's bring that in here. Perfect. We can see where that's at. Great. So let's move the piping into place here. Let's go ahead and just place it kind of in this corridor area here. And again, using the two methods of how we're going to do that, it's so simple. I mean, a couple of things that we might want to consider is tucking things really tight up against walls. So let's explore that. What I want to do is I want to erase the three-dimensional graphics off of that design line. So here's my design line, and I want to press and pull this together so it's really tight up against the wall here. So here you're seeing me make some movements here. I'll just, all right, let's go ahead and pull this all the way through to the other end of the building. And I want to turn one quick thing off. I've got the dynamic fill turned on. So every time I make a move with the design line, it's dynamically filling that. So I can just press and pull. Once I turn that off, it's only going to give me the design line itself. So let's go ahead and start making these moves here so that it's tucked up real nicely up against the wall here. All right, so in this long one here, I'll just use the classic stretch command and pull that up. And now I can fill in the 3D information, and that's kind of how that whole thing works. The idea here is once you've got your design locked in, you can go through and start to press and pull on a lot of these objects to continue working with it. Now, if you click on the red X button here during the design line editing phase, what it does is it closes out that design line. And if you click on the design line again, what it'll do is it'll kick off the design line feature, right? So now I'm dealing with a different design line totally at 6 inches. I can start working my way backwards in this direction. Now, the reason I bring this up is because there will be times where you want to go back to the original design line and start adding more information to it, okay? And the way you do that is by simply double-clicking on it. You will activate that design line. And there's two ways that you will confirm. First of all, your design line will turn whatever highlighted color it's supposed to be. And then also, you'll get a green confirmation up here that you're in the design line mode. Okay. Now, if I start adding additional design line, if I just simply cross right here, before I do that, let's change the size to 2 inches. If I simply cross, here, then I go fill in my 3D. Let's take a look at what happens here. So it looks like what's happening here is it's adding a stub in and a dielectric because we're changing materials here. It's adding a stub in and a dielectric union. Let's double click on that union and see and confirm that it is in fact a dielectric union. So I'll just double click on this guy and it is a dielectric union. We're going from carbon steel to copper, so that's why we need that dielectric union. And also it's got a stab in here and all that information. So it's pretty smart when you want to go through and add more information to it or remove it. Removing a piece, for instance, this piece that I made a mistake here, that's not supposed to be a 6 inch, that was actually supposed to be a 4 inch. So what we can do is we can go to line, edit, and then right here where it says select lines, you can go pick that portion of the line. And graphically, it'll give you, a way to choose that line and verification that you've chosen that line. So here, if I just wanted to change the size, I could tell it, well, let's change the constraint to 4 inches and hit OK. So the next time I fill in the three-dimensional graphics, you'll see that it is in fact a 4-inch. And if I want to delete it altogether, it's pretty simple to do. I'll just go and edit the line. I'll select that line. And then I right-click on this and delete it. So it takes that line away entirely. So when I fill in the 3D graphics, again, it just kind of removes that out of the way. So different ways to deal with the design line. Of course, I could go part by part and move all this information. The difference being that if I go and move this, it's piece by piece. So I have to be careful about how I want to go about making my models here. Do I want to run individual part by part, or do I want to run a design line and let it fill in? The advantage of doing part by part is that a detailer is very intimately familiar with every piece that goes in there. Whereas the design line, you're relying on the rules, and you will have to go back and make sure that things line up where you say they are supposed to line up. So that's a little bit on how we go through the process of adding the line work where it's supposed to be. Now, incidentally, this isn't an AutoCAD file. The file that I attached was an AutoCAD architecture. It's a three-dimensional file that gives me the ability to look at this. If I go to conceptual, it gives me the ability to look at this with walls that are full height. So if you have an AutoCAD architectural file, you can leverage it to start looking at this in 3D. Even though I've spent the majority of my time in plan view, I can see this and how it works in 3D. All right, so just a final note on this, you don't have to use it in 3D. You can just continue to work in your plan views the way you normally have. And I guess I should have picked a better color than black on black here, but the architectural, you can see the dark black lines versus the gray background there. But that's kind of how this will work, adding 2D piping to a file that has an architectural background.